welcome to Onesies, a podcast of one season wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew.
My name is Emily.
And this week we continue our trek to extremes with Going to Extremes, episode 3, entitled
Trials and Tribulations.
Oh, I thought it was Touch My Wicket, not that wicket with your cricket. Okay, so let's get the spoiler out of the way.
So the spoiler is, everybody, that I'm a bad podcast co-host and I did not get to finish the episode because life got in the way. So I watched 80% of it, but didn't get any resolution to any of the 3 subplots.
So 3 subplots.
So Andrew will be spoiling it for me. And
Yes.
and bringing you all up to date as well as me. So sorry about that. I'm bad.
I think it might get the best it gets in the last 20%.
Oh, that's too bad.
So that is too bad.
I made up for it though by looking at reviews for this show from various review sources, New York Times, LA Times, overwhelmingly positive. I was surprised. But it was only the first episode, which is even more surprising because the first episode wasn't great. And the one bad review, which I think you and I I was definitely on board with, said that there were too many Fleischmans. But in my mind, it's just too many characters. Just way too many characters being the focus.
What if you had Melrose Place, but every single person was written like Joel Fleischman, except they were cast like a diverse college advertisement from 1998 or maybe 2002? That's this fucking movie. Or sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of interesting. I was going to make the obligatory, obviously the New York Times had no problem with colonizing. And then the follow-up would be something along the lines of LA Times has bad critics. But that is interesting that it didn't get shredded.
Yeah.
Because, I said this episode, we'll get to it. You didn't see it, but we get the closest to a show, a good show that it's gotten, I guess I'll say. But it's really rough going getting there. We get a lot. It's like everything that was problematic in the pilot that they took a break from last episode, they brought back this episode. So this episode is about, or do you have 3 things? How do we?
I don't have 3 things because I didn't take any notes.
Okay.
Because I'm bad.
Okay. Well, then you're going to tell us how you're going to recount the opening for us.
Yeah. Am I? I don't know if
Joanna going jogging.
Oh, right. So she's jogging. It looks miserably hot. And she's listening to not Counting Crows, the Black Crows. Sorry.
Crows. Whatever happened to the Black Crows?
They split up because they're brothers that hate each other, and then they got back together to make money. And he got a divorce from what's her name, Kate Hudson, and whatever, doesn't matter.
Amazing that you know all that pop culture. Continue.
Yeah. And she crosses paths with Dr. Croft at some point, who stops and sees who is listening to classical music or something weird, and stops and sees some local islanders playing cricket and seems to have a great idea. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be a cricket heavy episode? Great. I love watching cricket. And that's not the case. So
my note for this scene, besides whatever happened to the Black Crows, was, what do they think this scene means? So they have her running with the backdrop of poor Caribbean islanders in tin shacks, and she's running along, colonizing with every footstep. He is running along and he sees these black men in all white playing cricket. So there are contrasts to the regular natives, and they are for recreation of their own free will playing the colonizers' game. These men are emulating the British colonizer. I think this scene is really garbage. I think it's really problematic.
But yes, it is the colonizer's game, but it has taken on a life of its own in India, Pakistan, the Middle East, as well as in the West Indies.
Really?
It's an incredibly popular game.
Cricket.
In more popular than you could ever understand. I mean, it is wildly popular. And in the West Indies specifically, it's a giant party. It's so much fun to watch. I don't like watching the game, but watching the people enjoying the game. It's super fun. Lots of music, lots of dancing, lots of fun. So it is incredibly popular. So this tracks.
Okay.
That these guys would be playing. Yeah.
That's very gracious. Though this episode does have other research that was not a white man writing for these many, many people of color. Though there's going to be some of that too. Okay, so we now go to the opening titles, which are horrific, as always.
Yep.
Okay. God, this is so fucked up. Okay, so then we cut to the house. We cut to the real world house.
And they're having their normal nighttime swim party
in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes, where it's presumably pre-work or preschool. Kim's back. Kim's doing Tai Chi. Kim does not get a subplot this episode, but Kim is around again.
Yeah.
And once again, despite Kim now being a cult leader, Kim is by far the most naturally charismatic person on this show. This show also answers the question, why didn't Roy Dotrice ever make it as well? Like, okay.
He did have big George C. Scott vibes in this episode. Big George C. Scott vibes.
Yes, big George C. Scott after he's fucking just, I don't know that George C. Scott ever there was anything for him to sell out from, but once George C. Scott stopped caring. Okay, so
for sure.
Alex, the guy whose name I forgot. That was the other thing about waiting so long in between watching these, is that I forget their names.
Because there's too many characters.
We needed
too many white men who look alike.
There needed to be 2 more subplots for this episode to have everything to do, and there are 3. So for this show to actually be fully packed, it needs 5 subplots. It's fucking wild. Okay, so then old boy Alex is reading. He's trying to memorize Kipling to seduce Dr. Davis with.
No mention of Dr. Davis last episode.
No, because they were waiting for the network to say, can we really lead into the Oedipal thing? Could he read a poem about some mom sending her son off to war and thinking about fucking his 50-year-old teacher? And they were like, yes. Maybe have him tell her a story about his mom that will mirror that he ends sad that she doesn't touch his penis. Okay. I was just like, holy shit, this is really fucked up. Okay. Joanna Going's going to go for a swim. She's presumably back from running amongst the natives. Cheryl can't swim. This is important because this episode is about it being okay that being around third world people of color can make Cheryl uncomfortable. A white man says it's okay. Mm-hmm. He signed off on it. Okay. But first, we've got more of Charlie struggling with biochem. Here's something that's sort of interesting, is that you don't know this, but we're going to get into an area of my very specific expertise. At one point, so Charlie is reading his book,
Yes.
And Alex is like, "You're going swimming." Some things, we're in a tropical paradise. That's more important than learning to be a doctor. You dummy who can't do anything. We can't even figure out how you got into this school. And you're going to go out, like, you're going to kill somebody at your first clinic shift or something, right? Like, this episode does not have, it has barely any Charlie, but it establishes he's really dumb. Like, it's incredible. Okay. But no, Alex picks up Charlie's books and runs them into, he's like, these books are going to the beach, which is a scene from the 1989 classic Weekend at Bernie's.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it. Don't bother. However, the second one takes place in the Caribbean and is more respectful to the native populations, despite having a voodoo subplot throughout the whole thing, including dancing. Okay, but the humor in this seems like on par with a Weekend at Bernie's type movie. Like, we're going to get to the humor, and it's a very TV version of light comedy. It's atrocious. Okay, but first we have to go to the clinic.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this because I like Erica Alexander, and I like that she had something to do.
Yes.
She is talking to, it's not Colin, it's Dr.
Kim's there.
Oh, Kim's there. Is he?
Yeah. Kim and the doctor there.
Right. So she has to go and check on a patient, take her information. She's not quite to the stage where she's going to diagnose anything. Takes down some information from this woman who describes herself as being dizzy. I've been dizzy. And she can't quite pinpoint, like, I didn't quite understand this when Cheryl asked her, like, explain. Dizzy is dizzy. Like, I don't understand. Maybe there are different kinds of dizzy, but Cheryl didn't seem to elucidate, and like this woman was just like, I just feel dizzy. I don't know how to explain it. And they start having a conversation like, oh, about swimming and how the woman also can't swim. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, but Cheryl lies and says of course I can swim.
Yes. She says, of course I can swim. And Cheryl's uncomfortable the whole time talking to this woman. The whole time. And I'm interested to see where it went with that, since I couldn't finish the episode and I didn't get too much more of this subplot, because there's only really like 3 or 4 scenes, right? And with this subplot, there's a lot. Oh.
This is going to be incredible. Okay.
Well, I know what happens to the woman.
Okay.
And I heard Erica Alexander talking to the doctor about their parallel lives.
Yes. Okay.
But that's the last part of that plot that I
Okay. Yes, there's actually
an interesting recognition of, again, the parallel lives that these two women have had.
Yes.
The paths where the paths diverged. I thought it was an interesting recognition of that.
It was.
But we'll get to that later.
We will get to that later. Okay. But yes, so that scene ends with the patient saying, "You're so pretty, Eric Alexander. Why are you scared of me?" And she's like, "Because I'm not your type of Black person." And it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's very ABC. Okay, so then we cut. Speaking of uncomfortable, boom, let's cut to class.
God.
Do you have any complaint for me going through this very quickly?
Go.
Okay, Dr. Davis is walking around class in a very short skirt. All the boys are staring at her legs, including Alex. She calls on Al, who is, and he's making faces. When she calls on him, he moans his answers, gives her a little preview of the yo face. It's disgusting.
I mean, he's doing everything but jerking off while.
Yes.
I mean, it's
the scene later when there's a scene actually in this where she should actually be doing okay. What I'm saying is the guys who created this show and wrote this character are into financial domination, actually. It's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so she calls on him. He moans. She asks him to answer a question. He tries bullshitting. Then he like poorly recounts the poem from Kipling, embarrasses himself, and the bell rings.
Every other man in that classroom is laughing at him.
Yes.
But also very glad that they did not also get called on.
Right. But we don't know. So we haven't seen her for a while. We didn't see her last episode, but as you know, in the well-reviewed pilot, what we ended with this is she has a number of boys that she fucks around with every year, and he's basically auditioning to be one of them. We don't know. He could be the only one in the class who isn't a fuck boy. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Spoiler, I bet we never find out.
No.
Based on how this is written. Okay. We cut to the gym. Oh yeah. Did you pause?
No.
You didn't want to see little Roy?
No.
Okay. We cut to the gym where Colin is in the sauna.
Yeah.
It is 8:55 a.m. Roy Dotrice shows up and says that. He's like, I'm always proud of my boys who get done with their workouts every morning at 8:55. And then he tears off he's like, he asks Colin if it makes him uncomfortable first, then shows him his penis and asks him to look at it, right? Yes, that's what happened. Colin's like, this is uncomfortable. I'd like to get past you right now. And Roy D is like, hey man, look at my dick.
This reminded me of, I don't think George C. Scott ever did this, but it reminded me of something George C. Scott would have done in a movie. I feel like he is that old man at the gym who is comfortable putting his leg up nude, having a chit chat with you while you're desperately trying not to look at his dick.
I would like to tell you, as someone who's been in those gym locker rooms, it's every old man.
Yeah.
Any old man who goes to the gym wants to show his cock to other old men and to make young people uncomfortable. It's part of the culture.
The rite of passage.
It's out. Okay. So then he talks to Colin about cricket, says, you were good in baseball.
Yeah. So I asked my husband about this because my husband is a cricket watcher. And I said, is there any advantage being a baseball player and are there any skills that are transferable between the two? And he said, well, you've got the strength. You kind of know how to swing a bat, but throwing is different. Batting is different. I mean, you would know more than going in without any skills, but ultimately it's not that much more advantageous. If you know how baseball works, you can kind of get cricket, but it's not that much more advantageous. Because I was confused by that. I was like, he was a pitcher. This is the thing. Pitching is completely different because you can't bend your elbow.
Isn't it called bowling?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But you can't bend your elbow. Like when you pitch, you bend your elbow. But when you bowl, I don't even know which way it goes. You can't bend your elbow. So it's like, he's so great. He's a pitcher. He's got a strong arm, maybe, but that's not really going to help him if he doesn't know how to bowl.
It's more like everyone in the regular cast got drafted for cricket.
Huh. Yeah. Imagine.
Okay. We also didn't have any Roy D last episode. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We got all of him this episode.
We got all of them this time. Okay. We then cut to the beach where Alex is sitting alone. And the doctor comes over and sits down and says, you were pathetic in class, but full of verve. And then she says,
I think she gets off on humiliating these little boys.
That's why she needs. Yeah. I mean, you can't actually have academic domination because people complain about that, but they can just do financial domination now. So then they have this weird talk where he she tells him this story about how she woke up naked and sweaty and dreaming about her passion flower and how she wants it on her petals or something. And he's sitting there jerking off on the beach, and then she like touches his dick and walks away. And this is only important because it's gross, but also he's going to tell her the same story, a similar story. Like they're going to have a similar scene where he tells her about when he was a 10-year-old boy and fell in a creek and his mommy took care of him and she fucking, wets herself hearing this. Like it's fucked.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we cut to the clinic where Carl Lumley is regretting playing the one black guy on the show. And the clinic roof is dripping and they're repairing it. And the repairman says the medicine doesn't need to stay dry because he's just a yokel. Then somebody comes in. It's Cheryl's friend. She comes in. I think her name ends up being Denise. Doesn't matter. She is being carried in the distance. Interesting thing about it, we're watching a man carry her from the field to the clinic. Apparently, nobody goes to help them. Apparently, it's like a fucking ER in the United States. You got to get across our doors or you drop dead outside. It's fucking weird.
And there's a whole thing. Was it this episode or was it last episode about, healthcare in the United States? Doesn't Erica Alexander have this whole monologue about healthcare in the United States? Oh shit, it is. Oh, because they don't have the machine that they need to make this woman, to test this woman for whatever it is she's got.
No, that's healthcare there. That's part of her.
Healthcare here is so shitty, and in America, okay, yeah, you're right.
We haven't compared it yet because we're the perfect people to talk about this episode. I mean, okay, at least they're not like in love. Then it'd be even more inappropriate for us to be discussing it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, finally saw the Watermelon Woman, Cheryl Dunye's movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Great.
Is it on Criterion Channel?
It's on Criterion Channel.
Cool.
It's also on Canopy. If you have Canopy.
Ooh, I do have Canopy. I do.
There you go.
Through your local library.
Then we cut. So they hold hands. Cheryl holds hands with Denise and says, "You're going to be fucking fine."
So this is a sign of her being more comfortable with the woman, right?
Yes, right. Bedside manner, right? Everybody's had shitty bedside manner. We haven't seen a single one of these students with good bedside manner.
Right.
But also there's a thing about a pretty dress. It does not come back. Don't worry. She's like, I'll make you one of these dresses. And then she's like, or you can have this one when I die. And I was like, was that in the episode or did I just hear it in my head? But it's very unfortunate because this woman is very like charming. Like the woman who plays Denise is very pleasant. I would love to be watching a show about Cheryl and her being friends.
Yes, me too.
As opposed to what we are watching.
Yeah, I would love to watch any show with, I like Erica Alexander and I like the actress playing Denise, but any show about these, city folk coming down to the Caribbean island and actually acclimating to the island rather than just hanging out with each other.
In real world.
Yeah.
Plantique.
Yeah.
Would you want to watch that show written entirely by white men?
No.
Well, too bad, because it's 1992 and this is ABC. Okay. We then cut to the wild, where Alex is running around with his buddy, whose name might be... I was calling him Ron Ray last episode. I think we get a different name to him, but I'm also not sure it's the same actor as before.
I know.
I think Alex goes to the food court at the university and approaches black men with his credit card going,
"Be my friend, help me.
Speak English, or something." And then he gets them to take them into the island. So they are walking through the bush. Alex is whining about how he's a worthless, large mosquito bite. I agree.
I have no complaints about that.
He is. Someone should pop him. Okay, we then cut to the morgue where Ponytail
Yeah.
AKA
Charles Keating.
I'm sorry, AKA Wilford Brimley, fuck daddy,
Oh yeah.
which comes back in a big way this
Oh,
episode. Oh, oh, oh my god! And he touches Joanna Going when he's telling this story. He touches her on her shoulders, and I'm like, they are gonna fuck.
ooh, ooh.
Okay. He tells a story about how sometime there was a corpse that was really alive. A horse racing jockey thing. Unclear why all these everything had to have sports in the anecdote, apparently. He then touches this corpse and it jiggles, and everybody thinks he fucking pranked him, but he didn't. He just touched a nerve that makes a freshly dead body twitch, because that's normal. Also, I think Kim is in this class, which I found was weird. But then in comes Roy D. Roy D tells a story about how much fun he had in the Second World War, being a prisoner of war, playing cricket with Nazis. He just had a good time. They were good. I can call them that because of my heritage and skin color, but I will not use the KR hyphen T word. But
yeah.
he does refer to them as that.
Yes.
However, he is talking about what a great time he had with his chums, the Nazis. And I was like, wow, okay. Is it going to get more problematic than that? I don't know. Are we going to talk about occupying a country and frequenting sex workers? And
It's funny because Germany, they definitely play cricket, but they're not known for cricket. I mean,
maybe they did it special during World War II.
It's very much an English thing exported via colonization.
But anyway,
interesting. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and that was another point where he sounded using the K word for Germans. Was definitely something that stuck out as a George C. Scott moment.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Patton in 20 years, but I'm positive
I've never seen Patton.
Really?
You've never seen Weekend at Bernie's?
I've never seen Beverly Hills Cop.
You know, I wonder if any famous comedians know that about you.
Yeah, I wonder.
I wonder. Okay. So then he says, okay, everybody's assigned to play fucking cricket. That's the episode. We're all going to play cricket. Back at it.
Very weird.
Charles Keating. Go back to fucking touching Joanna Going side boob in class. We cut back to the wilderness. Okay, maybe Ron Ray's name is Cal, but this is also when I'm like, that's not the same dude, is it? Alex has to climb a waterfall to pick the flower. There's no other way to do it. It's at the top of the waterfall.
I find that difficult to believe. There has to be a way to get to the top that's not directly in against the water falling down.
It also seems like there'd be a way to get down from the top that's not walking the waterfall. Also, if you had a rope, this would all be much safer because at least you'd be coming down safely, very safely, comparably.
You could slip so easily.
Just sadly, spoilers.
He doesn't.
Fucker does not die. Okay, so then he's got to climb, and his can't remember the name of the people. Oh, I'm not going to say it, but the black kid is like, yep, and 50% of the name, 50% of the people make it. Spoiler. Okay, we cut to the clinic. Cheryl goes to Carl Lumley and says, we need a CAT scan. He's like, there are no CAT scans. Let me bring her to the school and do a CAT scan.
Yeah.
She's like, we don't have a CAT scan at this school. What are you talking about? There isn't one on the island. Well, shit. Okay. So then we cut to Roy D in his office where Cheryl comes in and says, I need to talk to you about something important. He's like, I know who you are. You played sports. You should play cricket for the school. Do you want to play cricket? And she's like, I want a CAT scan machine. And he's like, that's on Aruba. And she's like, you have an airplane. And he says, that's me, Dr. Croft's motherfucking airplane. It is not Croft University's airplane.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool of him.
This is not an emergency airlift. It's a medical school. These people don't deserve medical care. I am colonizing, just not through a
I'm
government.
I'm trying to make money from all of
Not
you stupid students who couldn't get into an American medical school, not spend money trying to save this woman's life.
right.
Yeah.
Fuck them. That's why we're here, right? Like, call me Dr. Mengele.
Oh.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Okay. But then she's like, "Is this your first patient?" And she's like, "No, but it's the first one I've ever cared about." And he's like,
That sucked. That sucked. That
well,
moment.
maybe we should help. I'm like, you should have just had it. You should have just bribed her. Like, that would have been far better. Though the bribe might not have been cricket, as we will find out that somebody's cricket stick works just fine.
I
Does
wish I knew
Charles Keating want to try it out?
I wish I knew what you were talking about.
You didn't see that scene?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my god. Missed so much. Okay.
I know. I'll
We
watch
then
it.
cut.
I'll watch it and then
I
talk.
can't make you watch this show. Like, I mean, I can make you watch the show, but I can't make you rewatch this show.
I'll finish it. I'll finish
Okay.
it. I just didn't have time.
So then we cut back to the waterfall where kids encouraging Alex to climb up. The music actually is worse than the Weekend at Bernie's. Weekend at Bernie's 2 has a long theme where Bernie is brought back by voodoo and is walking on the ocean floor, and they're playing very pop Caribbean music by white people. It's much better music than this. So much better music. Just so much better than this. But then he gets the flower, he puts it in his mouth, and he starts climbing down. Old kid's like, all right, Alex, be careful. It's much harder coming down. I should have told you that. Alex then starts reciting the Kipling poem, which is about a lady sending her son off to war and about how much she loves her son. Then he wanted to read to the older teacher lady that he wants to fuck because it's very Oedipal. It's so much.
Yeah.
It's so much. Kid down at the foot of the waterfall could be like, dude, do you want to fuck your mom? Like, it's really, really bad. Also, later on is when I realized that I was still watching the show to this point, or at least I saw this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, we then cut to the clinic. Kim is standing outside looking hunky.
And Erica runs up. Yeah. Erica runs up and she's like, "Guess what? I got him to let us use his airplane. We're gonna take her to get a CAT scan in Aruba." And he's like, "Whoa! Come here, come on, settle down." And it turns out that her friend Denise has passed away.
Yes.
From her illness, which I forget what it was.
Nope, you don't know yet. Don't know yet because it's potentially unrelated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And she is devastated.
Also, that means that they took this lady's body and they cut it up for an autopsy. So there's that too.
Oh,
we missed that scene. So Charles Keating fucks Joanna going next to her corpse with its open brain pan. Nope, it's commercial time. My note for that was, however, that Kim, the actor, is at least taking this more seriously than
just about anybody else. Yeah.
We cut to cricket. Roy D is drawing on a board the instructions of cricket. It's hilariously incomprehensible. He says all the silly names for things like cricket, wicket, mid slip, little slip, big slip, all sorts of things. Cricket sounds like it was made by a bunch of British men in boarding school who all learned how to circle jerk and came up with words for describing it as something else. Because they couldn't say jerk, right? And they're like, we can't say that. That's rude. So we'll call it mid-slipping. Okay. But yes, the entire regular cast is on the team, it looks like, though Eric Alexander's not there, and I don't think Alex is there because he's climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
This is the story scene. Oh, and there's so many notes for the story. So many notes. Okay, he gets back. He wipes some of the dirt from the flower on his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to contextualize this comment, but that's not poop, that's chocolate. Okay. No more contextualization. fuck turfs. Okay, she's not naked when she answers the door. It's
Yes,
set up
Dr.
like she
Davis
is,
is not naked.
but it's set up like she is because
Yeah.
they do the leg shot of, the
And
establishing shot of her legs implies that she's naked. She's not.
right.
She
Uh
then says,
Alex is filthy,
mhm,
as you had mentioned, and he's like a little boy very proudly showing mommy the flower that he picked for her.
mhm.
And
Okay, no,
no, go ahead.
when he talks about his soggy rubbers and how he's squishing and how he's a bad boy.
Yeah, a naughty
Okay,
boy.
and then he tells the story of when in my neck of Chicago. If you want to go see what potential neck he could be talking about, it's not in Chicago proper.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Um, when you wanted to do the Boffo sledding, you had to walk 2 miles through the snow, cross the creek, and then do a 50-yard climb to get to the Boffo sledding. But he didn't make it. He fell in the creek and he ran home to his mom.
And she knew he had snuck out because
Yes, he wasn't
she
supposed to
could
sneak out.
hear him coming. His soggy rubbers.
Yes. Okay. It's a terrible story. It's really stupid. It's like a story out of the Gilded Age, right? Like really fucked up. We forgot to mention this in the first scene because we went through the June Chadwick playing Dr. Davis. She's terrible.
She's
She's
beautiful though.
Her acting is atrocious.
I discovered that I have this thing where I cannot get past how I perceive somebody. So not just attractiveness, but I perceive somebody as being something, and that means that they are like if it's good, she's very attractive. I just think she's beautiful. I'm in awe of her beauty every time I see her, and so everything she does is at that level. My husband told me last night that Howard Vernon is a bad actor, and I was like, "What are you talking about?
I don't
He's
even know who
incredible."
Howard Vernon
And
is.
he's like, "No, Howard Vernon is super cool looking, but he's a bad actor." And I was like, "Damn
Who's
it."
Howard Vernon?
Um, he was in. Have you seen Alphaville?
No.
Have you seen the Silence of the Sea, the Jean Pierre Melville movie about
Why does he have a name like Howard Vernon?
have you seen Love and Death?
Now you have to cut all of this.
I tried the other two.
Okay. All right. Also, this is you saying that you can't help but look at Jude Chadwick like you're a 12-year-old boy who's
She's
got
beautiful. No,
inappropriate
but it could
feelings
be
for his
anything.
mother.
It
Okay.
could be anything. It could be just Howard Vernon is not an attractive man. He just looks
Okay.
fucking cool.
Okay. But
She's a terrible actress.
she's like just blankly staring at him, and he's recounting this stupid, weird story that should end with, ew, you want to fuck your mom. That's
Yeah.
how it should end. Instead, it ends with, this is apparently supposed to have been making her hot. She's ready to play mommy and forgive him. But bad little Alex, he crushed one of the petals on her flower, and it's not good enough. So he's got to go. And he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, she's fucking insane. Like, that's actually what's going on in this situation. Like, we have a lot of problems with characterization in this show and like flat characterization of these characters.
Yeah.
But the only explanation for her character is she's
She's a sociopath.
a sociopathic sexual predator.
Yeah. This is the only explanation for this.
Who is trying to raise bad doctors.
Her yeah. Oh, yeah. She doesn't care about their ability to
Practice
master
medicine.
any subjects.
Who cares about them, masturbating when they hear a keyword?
Yeah, and not even having sex with them. She just wants them to be drooling all over her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Licking her feet. Like, that's all she wants.
That did not happen in the end.
Aww.
Is it promised for next time? No, and actually, they could have done something much better with the ending that we will get to. But it's a bad show, so it doesn't matter. We cut to cricket. This is basically just a cricket scene where we establish Charlie's really bad at it. Colin is supposed to be catching. It's not called catching, it's called wicket keeping. And Charlie is the leg slip, but he's been getting in Colin's way. So here's the deal. Colin's the catcher, and if Colin misses the ball, Charlie's behind him and catches the ball again. Charlie can't figure that out. Charlie keeps running up. This is a joke for dogs. This is a joke about dogs. You're training your dog to fetch in the show, and Charlie's the dumb dog. That's it.
Yeah.
And Roy D's like, you're a fucking idiot. Why is this happening? Why are you in medical school? Cut. You saw this scene, right? This is the scene where Roy D makes it very clear he's firing all cylinders. He also makes it really clear he wants to fuck Charles Keating. He wants to crawl on Charles. There are no questions of who's driving cars here.
Yeah.
Roy D walks in on Charles Keating getting a massage.
Yes, from a beautiful young lady.
Beautiful young lady. She's native, but not native to these islands. They couldn't have him with a black girl, so they brought in a Polynesian lady to be the cameo. It's still colonial, it's still abusive, it's still disgusting, but it's not 100% interracial. It's 75% interracial. Standards and practices at ABC, everybody. Okay, so did you also see Charles Keating wasn't willing to get the butt tan?
Yes, I did. I did see that. I was disappointed. I mean, not that I want to see his butt in particular, but I'll take nudity wherever I can get.
Well, also the character 100% should have a tanned ass.
Yeah.
Okay, so Roy D comes in. He tells a story about the Korean War, about how he got his doctor's license and then he re-upped for the Air Force.
Yeah.
Because he's a fucking imperialist. That's why. And then he tells a story about how he hurt his back and the madam at the geisha house got the kink out and then fucked him all night. And it was the best, never been better.
Problematic.
No, because the next thing is he's like, but now I've got a sluggish wicket. Charles Keating says, do you mean that literally? Or no, Charles Keating thinks that he's complaining about having a sex problem. That's right. So Wilford Brimley, fuck daddy, is like, do you have a sluggish wicket? And Roy D's like, that's the right phrase, but the wrong venue. I need you, Jack. I need a player coach.
I don't know what sluggish wicket even means. It doesn't make any sense. Just my very passing knowledge. Very passing. I don't know what sluggish wicket means.
I don't know. I mean, it means his dick.
I know what the euphemism is.
Okay.
I know what the euphemism is supposed to mean, but I don't understand, like, in the terms of cricket, what a sluggish wicket is.
I'm not going to Google it. I actually Googled things for this episode. I'm not Googling anymore. Okay. This is where somebody talks about bowling over a maiden. Oh, that's it. He's like, Jack, I need you to be my player coach. You're the fucking man, Jack. And he's like, how long's it been since you've bowled a maiden over? And he's like, literally or metaphorically, her sister's 13. So odds are, what? That's the show. Don't give me that look. But then he offers her services. And Roy's like, no, that's okay.
So see a little bit of decency in Mr. Roy D.
If I want you, Jack, not her. And then Jack's like, I don't want to fucking do that, man. I'm fine. I'm fucking all the ladies. I'm not playing cricket. He's like, that's cool. Your fucking trip to Rio's off. Can't afford conventions. Maybe next year. We now cut to the food court / mess hall, whatever the fuck they're called, student union. which is a restaurant.
It just looks like a restaurant. Yeah.
It just happens to be a restaurant.
It just looks like a restaurant with indoor outdoor seating. It's very nice.
It's very nice.
And what's his name? Why can't I think of his
Norris,
name? Norris, because he's barely in it.
Yeah.
Because he's barely in it. Norris sits down and next to Erica Alexander and offers her some jerk chicken.
To which she says,
"It's too spicy." And he's like, "Oh, my mom used to make jerk chicken for us, and it was 10 times as spicy as this." I was like, "Wow, that's
the
spicy."
only reason we survived was because of her jerk chicken. There's some weird thing in there about that too.
Yeah.
We can't actually, we shouldn't, we're going to have to talk, recounting this scene, we're going to need to talk about some things that we should not be talking about.
Yeah.
In reality, we are going to pass on commenting on a Black woman from the United States not being able to eat jerk chicken at a student union because it's too spicy for her. There's an episode of Judge Judy where this really terribly behaving young Black woman sues her family for emancipate. Like, she doesn't want her family to acknowledge her because she's been adopted by her white Beverly Hills roommate. It's very weird and very bad. And basically, that's kind of what they're setting Erica Alexander up as.
Yeah.
Except then she asks Carl Lumley what Denise died of, and Carl Lumley says an aneurysm.
Right.
And Cheryl talks about how she was uncomfortable and shitty when the lady was nice to her. And then she says, am I going to say it or are you going to say it?
I'll say it. I mean, neither one of us are really the right people, but
what's the name of the screenwriter? Angelo Baldamonte or something? Like, it's that much.
So she comments that it could have been her. I think I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the direct quote, but she says, the ship that brought my ancestors went one way and the ship that brought her ancestors went another. I mean, we are generations removed, but that could have been me. I grew up in, I don't even know where she's from, the character, where we have all these medical centers and we've got all of this advanced technology and da-da-da-da-da. And she ended up here where we couldn't even diagnose what was wrong with her. And that could have been me. And it was, for me, a very interesting acknowledgement. I thought it was very interesting that it was even broached on this ABC television show from 1992, but also seemed oddly deep for this show.
Well,
and maybe I should reserve judgment because I've not had a similar experience. But
you haven't had a similar experience? You forgot one of the words about the ships.
Oh.
She says 300 years ago, our ancestors were on slave ships.
Oh, okay.
Mine went north, hers went south. So there's that acknowledgement.
Yeah.
With the subtext of, and I'm doing great now because of the US of A.
Yeah.
Also, she's telling this to Carl Lumley, who has zero reaction to any of this.
And presumably his path was the same as Denise's, right? His ancestral past was the same as Denise's. So, but yeah, so he oddly has no reaction to it. And you're right, there is no acknowledgement of kind of the horrible time that African American people still have in America today.
Exactly.
So
like, this is very Cosby Show reality. Oh, double layer reference.
But I was shocked and surprised that they even acknowledged this.
Yes. Also, it's unclear that if Denise had been in the US, they would have caught the aneurysm.
Yeah.
Her dizziness could be unrelated.
Yeah.
Like, that's how aneurysms work.
Yeah.
People drop fucking dead and it's terrible.
Yeah. I know somebody who was diagnosed with one or something, and it's just like
if you find it.
Yeah. If you find it. But it's luck.
Yeah. It's luck to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. We cut to the waterfall, and this is where I'm pretty sure that I've seen this show. I was still watching the show at this point
Yeah, so
because
at the end of this scene is where I ended my
okay.
viewing.
I guess I'm ready. All right. Then do you have any notes for the scene?
So is he by himself again this or is he by
He's by
himself this time?
himself, climbing
Okay.
the waterfall in
Which
his
is
yellow.
dangerous because if he slips and falls, which
Yeah.
apparently 50% of the people do,
Yep.
um he could die and just be left there. But I suppose people would know where he was because he can't stop talking about and jerking off about Dr. Davis. Um he climbs up the waterfall again and he picks one of the flowers. There are many flowers up there. I don't remember exactly how many, but he picks one and he kind of looks it over to make sure it's not damaged and puts it in his mouth and then grabs like five more just in case.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have to do it again. It
Mm-hmm.
was weird. And then he climbs back down. Does he fall? I don't remember the end of the scene. But is he quoting that stupid thing?
He's talking about how he wants her to, I don't think he says ball gagged, but he says he wants to be tied, bound, and gagged on her bedpost.
This kid,
He's
adult kid,
partial to masks himself. And you can even make ice cream kinky.
he needs
But
help. He needs
as
help.
he's going up, he's screaming out that he hates her, he loves her, he
Oh,
needs her.
yes, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
that's when I was like, oh, fuck, I think I've seen this. This is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's very much that like Weekend at Bernie's type comedy. It's this very, see,
It didn't play as comedy to me. To me, it played as,
the end of it when he puts the flowers in his mouth,
oh,
it plays
yeah.
as comedy. No, the beginning plays as, like, no, he's gonna have a psychotic break
Yeah.
in school and she's gonna get away with it or something. Like it ends with her killing him. Like she marries him while he's on his deathbed, kills him, and takes all of his family's money. Like that's where this show, that's the real show. Cut to the house.
And I did not see this.
So this is all me.
This is all you.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I did pick the show. We'll go kind of quick then. Kathleen and Cheryl are quizzing each other in the house. A group of natives comes to see Cheryl. It's very weird because nobody knows each other's names and only one person can talk because it's not like they're going to pay any of the other extras rates. But these people are Denise's family. I don't even think the woman identifies herself as Denise's mom because you have to remember the show acts like these people don't speak English. The show very much acts like they can't speak English.
Not the case.
Okay. But it's also unclear what language they think that they speak. So they instead think they don't speak. Like this is the spoon. Okay. They invite Cheryl to come up the mountain to sing for our child. Very specific that it's her mom, Denise's mom. Cheryl's like weirded out by this invitation. Doesn't seem to know what they're talking about, but there's also this great moment where there's this one shot of Joanna going, and the guy who plays Kim just walks into the shot and is just like, no, I'm going to be in this shot too.
Nice.
I remember what, all my fucking ladies said I wasn't in episode 2, so I'm going to be in my shots in episode 3, you fuckers. I'm fucking your mom. I better be in the shots. Okay. So then we cut to a cricket game where Charlie's still fucking it up, so Colin quits. But then, as Roy D is blustering about how mutiny will not be tolerated, Wilford Brimley, fuck daddy, shows up, says, "Am I going to Rio? Legal age, they're so young." Roy D's like, "Yes, you are." And then Charles Keating makes Charlie the catcher, and it's cricket, everybody. And there's like a game montage of them playing cricket.
Are they successful?
Yes, because Charles Keating is magical. He also has his hair down.
Ooh.
Yes, he does not have the ponytail. He has his hair down. Is he Australian? Did we look this up?
I'll look him up right now.
Okay. That's right, because you aren't there for Cheryl and Kim to be walking up the mountain behind the family. Where my notes are, make it about me, because Cheryl's like, I can't go with, I didn't do anything. I was shitty to her until she was nice to me because I didn't see her as a person, blah, blah, blah. Kim's like, you were invited, you have to go. Like, this is an honor for you to go and celebrate her with her family. And then Kim's like, but also I'm not going. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm not a blood relation. She's like, I'm not a blood relation either. He's like, no, but you were invited. This is their way of thanking you for being nice in the end to their daughter who died. Possible daughter, we don't know. Kim would go with if you weren't going to be safe, i.e., and this does not come through in any of it. It's a really weird line. Cheryl seems like she's uncomfortable. Cheryl doesn't think like she's going to a voodoo ceremony. Kim's like, if you were going to voodoo, I'd go with you. That was very weird. Okay. We then cut to Alex getting back to Dr. Davis's house. She's not there. He's really put out because where else would an NPC be? So I thought he was going to go home. Instead, he sits on her swing and falls asleep. I thought this was going to go someplace okay. It doesn't, but I thought it was. This falling asleep on the thing almost could have gone okay. Okay. We then cut to the mountain where they're singing a Caribbean version of Father, I Stretch My Hands to Thee. But then they quickly go into patois, and the mom slash person who invited one person with lines teaches Cheryl how to the words of the song in patois, and Cheryl starts singing, and we listen to her get the rhythm of the song, and she's able to join them. It's kind of good. This is almost the show I thought we were going to be watching about about Erica Alexander, because she's top billed. She's top billed because it's alphabetical order.
Yeah.
I thought this was Black woman out of water in surrounded by other people of color.
Yeah.
And, like getting out of the mindset of being, that she's picked up from American culture of colonizing. This is as close as we get. It's all right. Like, kind of no notes. But also it's way too late. It's way too little. It's done the wrong way.
There are still how many more episodes?
There's 13 more episodes, 10 more episodes. Yeah. No, there's not. Oh God, there's 11 more episodes.
We're probably never going to see anything like this again.
No. This might be it. This was Eric Alexander. Now, does Eric Alexander make it till episode 17? We shall see.
Fingers crossed. Because she's the best part of the show. What very little we've seen of her until this episode, she's the best part.
We cut to the porch. It's still at night. Dr. Davis gets home. Alex is talking about how he was having the strangest dream. June Chadwick acts poorly opposite him. My note is, this show actually should have just been like a fake reality show about soap opera actors trying to teach young actors, and then those people not going anywhere because they were taught by soap opera actors, which is a hard dig on soap opera actors.
Yeah.
And it's real work and things like that. But Charles Keating sucks. June Chadwick sucks.
Charles Keating is English of Irish descent. His parents emigrated from Ireland. Okay. Just an FYI.
He's very Australian in his cricket. Okay, so she's like, "Oh, Alex, you're all dirty. You need a bath." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's going to be taking it at home, right? That's the punchline." No. First, he gives her the flower. Only one made it from his thing. And she's like, "It's my flower. You did so very well, Alex." She sniffs it, and I'm just like, can't even fake a sniff, June Chadwick. You'd been doing this for 15 years. Why can't you fake a fucking sniff? Kisses him on the forehead, closes the door. Out. Like,
wow.
This show would be better if it acknowledged his boner all the time. Like, this show would be better if him having a constant erection were a joke. Like, that she hits it with the door hand. Like, something. My hope for that scene was he woke up and she'd like put a blanket on him, though that doesn't make sense, in the morning, and like they hadn't like there maybe been an apple. She gave him an apple from the teacher to change the relationship from his mom.
Yeah.
But no, this is Oedipal. This is the point.
Yeah.
Cool. I
Gross.
can't. There is a 75% chance his parents are gonna be on an episode as guest stars.
Oh.
75% chance.
Oh, I hope it.
75. Because it has serious, what was that movie? The Evening Star, the sequel to Terms of Endearment, where Shirley MacLaine hooks up with Bill Pullman and then finds out his mom is like Anne Margaret and is like, oh, you just like hot old babes. Get the fuck out. Like, you wanted to fuck me because I'm a hot old babe like your mom? Fuck out of here. And then she dies. She ages 45 years in 2 scenes and dies. Spoiled the movie for you. I assume Jack Nicholson made a fortune. Cut to the mountain. Cheryl has been dancing. She has to go sit down. She goes, sits down, hugs the earth. Kind of weird. I wouldn't have written that as a white guy. Not much of this I would have written as a white guy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And the lady slash Denise's mom comes over and puts down a candle right next to sleeping Cheryl, which presumably does not end with Cheryl knocking over in her sleep and burning herself alive. Though that would have been fucking funny. Mom's like, oh, she's so sleepy. They all circle around her. They're like, should have been nice to her when she came in. Kick over the candle. Boom. Okay. So some of this was the best the show has ever been. Some of it would have me suing ABC as a stockholder. Like, Oedipal subplots are guest star subplot. They're not foundational things to your character.
Yeah. Yeah. Like one of the main characters, too. I mean, like the first episode, I pegged him and Kathleen as the main characters.
Now, the pegging will be quite different. Boom!
Waka waka.
Waka. Like, yeah, no. And Kathleen, yeah. So I think what we're going to get is we're going to get episodes. Either we're going to get off and on. So next episode, if maybe we'll have a pattern. We'll do Joanna Going and Colin Robinson or whatever, fucking Robert Clark Duncan, maybe Charlie, maybe, I think that's about it. Maybe Keating would have more to do because he's going to fuck Joanna Going, and Roy Doctrice is going to pay for the tape. Like, it's going to be like weird cuck porn. Then the episode after that will be Eric Alexander and blah, blah, blah. Or we aren't going to toggle and it's just going to be fucking weird the whole time.
Yeah.
Because we also forgot Carl Lumley. Where is he in the toggles? He should be in both, but I get the feeling from this episode that Carl Lumley's just like, I'm not sure. I should have done this show. I should have listened to the people who said, don't do the show as a black guy for the Northern exposure, guys.
Yeah.
Don't do that show. I should have listened to Danny Glover. He's got a great thing going with his good friend Mel Gibson. Cut that. Cut that. Cut that.
Back to Charles Keating. I realize where I recognize him from. He played Rex Mottram on Brideshead Revisited, like 6 episodes of Brideshead he was on. I'm shocked. And then I discovered that the National Review wrote a not very flattering piece comparing Donald Trump to Rex Mottram. It's very funny. It's very funny. The National Review in 2016 wrote a piece comparing Donald Trump to Rex Mottram. Very funny, I thought. Anyway.
Big National Review reader over there?
I'm not. I just Googled and I was like, oh, shit.
That's how the algorithm works. Was he fuckable on Brideshead Revisited?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he was wealthy, so he was going to get married, but then, he was a huckster. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got no hope for this show. We got 11 more fucking episodes. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing in our lives?
Yeah. Well, I've got a few more ideas, so for next season.
I really, we're not doing any. I will not be picking any more
ABC.
no more. Yeah, I could have picked Cop Rock. That was shorter, though. That probably would have ended with them singing about how they had to shoot the little black kid. So we would have gotten to talk about that. So instead, we won't, and we'll instead watch this and talk about just
how good this show is gonna get. Again,
so
I was shocked at the positive reviews, but it seemed to be reviews. Again, doesn't make any sense. It seemed to be just reviews of the first episode. So I couldn't find anything about the cancellation. I couldn't find anything about things beyond that. Now I just did a basic Google search. Right. It's not like I was deep into it, but nothing. I couldn't find anything, and it was mostly good, except that there were too many main characters.
Yeah, you gotta remember though with TV how there was not an attempt at serious television criticism until probably the aughts, and even
golden
now,
age of television.
Yeah,
bullshit.
So, and even then, I don't know that there is such a thing as TV criticism. Like it's too complicated of how you really approach it. Like, and it certainly wasn't being done in 1992 for newspapers.
Yeah.
So
it was all comparing it to Northern Exposure and comparing it to Twin Peaks and all this other stuff.
So I mean, we were hitting sort of the hour-long zeitgeist at the beginning because Twin Peaks and Northern Exposure really did show that there was a new kind of market for quirkiness.
Yeah.
You know, Northern Exposure was quirky on top of a very limited medical procedural, right? This is very different than St. Elsewhere. This is very different from whatever. And then you would see it with this was a big thing. People tried to do this because creators liked doing these shows. Picket Fences was ostensibly a lawyer show mixed with
family drama.
But in a very like what's the Blue Velvet winking
David
sort
Lynch,
of way.
Yeah.
But not also, right? Because it was very mellow, but it turned into this great like soapbox for David E. Kelly, basically. Where he could talk about white flight, actually, as it were. I remember that show being really good. I wonder if it holds up.
Yeah, I wonder too.
You know, that was toward the end, but yeah, so and you started having Oliver Stone doing TV at this time. And so there was getting to be a prestige value to TV, but then you have this, which is, you see the connection to Melrose Place.
And you see the connection directly to Northern Exposure. I mean, besides even the creators, I mean, it is fish out of water.
Right. It is
quirky, but you don't actually see the quirky.
You don't actually see any of the quirky because you have too many characters who are your fuckable young leads.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's no quirky. What Melrose Place learned was that you just wanted soap. Right? You could just do a soap. They eventually dropped because Melrose Place was supposed to be a drama, a serious drama mixed with a nighttime soap in the universe of Beverly Hills 90210. And they eventually just went all soap. They went as hardcore soap as they could, just in the Fox sort of, you know, they were the only ones who were doing this kind of thing at that point.
Yeah.
This is none of the soap. Drama is a little bit of a stretch because we have no continuing storylines for these people other than Charlie being stupid, Joanna wearing shorts, and possibly setting her up with Charles Keating, though Roy Dotrice
or Colin.
They don't actually have any interaction this episode.
Yeah, but and then also the one guy trying to bang his mom. I mean, his teacher
is bang mom teacher. Yeah, that's this show. There's no
comedy.
There's no comedy. It's not quirky. They're shitty white people.
It's literally just like, I don't know. It's not. They spread themselves too thin, and they couldn't focus on one thing.
I feel like this is a show that when Robert Altman was begging ABC to do a show with him, that he would do it and he'd be like, my show for ABC is really good. And he had one dick friend whose name is recognizable to us because he's an editor or something of something. He would bust out an episode of the show and be like, hey, Bob, this is what's on ABC. And Altman would watch a few minutes of it and break things and scream, like, was Gordon Lish, were they friends? Like, wasn't that
I don't.
fucking Carver's editor? Like, like, this is the type of thing that it's so obviously bad.
Yeah.
It's so obviously problematic. It's horrific. Like, I'm shocked there weren't. This is the type of thing, like, when somebody was interviewing Spike Lee, there should have been a very awkward, have you seen Going to Extremes? And Spike Lee's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you know what it is? And he's like, if I do, I'm sorry I do, right? Like, I just made Malcolm X, fuckers. Like, ask me about the Maison Son. Yeah. So we've got 11 more. I'm sorry, everyone. I need to find the Automan or something. I did not do this intentionally.
No,
I don't
you
want to be
didn't.
talking about this.
No, you
I
didn't.
don't want to be I don't want to be deconstructing this because there's nothing at the bottom of it.
Can I just say this? You're lucky that it's me because I don't care what I watch.
And
Yeah.
there's so many hot dudes on the show.
Are there?
Just so
I
many
mean,
hot
Kim, yeah.
Kim's, yeah, your little.
That's about it. Whatever. Anyway, let's see. What episode do we have next time? I have too many pictures of Rex Mottram to know. Going to Extremes, episode 4. Oh
God.
I'm not going to say the title. So next week it's in a patois that I'm not comfortable with repeating. We'll be watching episode 4 of Going to Extremes. That's 13 more episodes, Andrew, 13 more episodes. So we will see you next time on the Onesies. See you in Television Land.
See you in Television Land, by the way.